Saturday, Saturday, Saturday. Saturday. Come on, where's my audio? Do I not have audio? Do I not have audio? Okay, there it is. Hey, everybody, I'm making a game. It's called The Godkiller, and it's Saturday. I love Saturdays for working on my game. It's just a nice, chill, long day, and it's mine. It's all mine. Let me show you a demo of what I did last night. Well, I was learning Russian with my new friend Mimble. Boom. Alright. So, there's this thing called the Apple of Infinite Speed. Okay, I'm going to do this in without maximizing it so that I can go into the inspector and twiddle a few things to demo. So this is the sound effect that I added last night for the Apple. I actually wrote it several months ago, and I just kind of got it working again with the new sound effect manager scheme. Okay, so it's got different modes. Each mode has different sound effects and visual effects that go with it. So right now it's in calm mode. If I go to agitated, changes to a minor key, and the rings begin to go faster, and they glow more. Although the glow is understated right now, I need to do something to fix that to get it back where it was. So then the excited mode is just an escalation. This next one's going to be unpleasant. That's it. That's the whole transition. And those different modes of the Apple coincide after I get the logic in, you being in different places next to the Apple, getting closer to it, and then, you know, it starts to get a little more negative and out of control sounding as you get right next to it. Then you grab it, and then it dissipates just like you saw. So I'm going to work on some further refinements and re-enablements to this Apple thing. And the first one is a little bit under the hood. So yesterday, so that I wouldn't kind of go down a sweater thread hole, that's really mixing metaphors. So I wouldn't go down a rabbit hole or pull a sweater thread or pull a sweater thread that led into a rabbit hole. I put some junk code inside of here. A little hack, and I want to fix that hack. I don't like leaving hacks around. I don't like leaving junky code around. It'll just be harder to come back later. So here's what it is. So I am, in a non-hacky way, loading sound effects through the sound effect manager. They're only for this level. And that's a new capability. It used to be that all the sound effects would be loaded no matter what, and I added a facility that allows you to load just what you need for a given level. So these sound effects, they go with this apple. The apple only appears on one level. So, I made the code so it does that. But what I didn't do is run this extra completed thing on the loaded wave files called normalize, which makes it so that I can play them as a melodic sound effect at any note that I want to. So the common sound effects have a way for them to be normalized after they're loaded, but the per level or on-demand sound effects, they don't have that yet. So I added this little junky thing in here that will perform that extra step that's needed for them to work. But I don't want it to be inside of my code for the Apple. I want it to be just part of regular loading when you use the sound effect manager. So when I call this function load melodic and it loads in the samples, I want it to automatically, after they're finished loading, call this normalize on them, so I don't have to do it in calling code, which is really garbagey and it's going to lead to other mistakes and head scratching. So that's what I'm going to work on in this session. And probably what I'll do is, that sounds like a kind of a short session to me. I'll probably finish that and have lunch, then come back and do a different session after that, which will be for some other type of thing. Well, we'll see how it actually plays out. But this session is about fixing this loading problem. So, I'm no stranger to writing asynchronous code, but I still find it a little, what's the right word? I'll say unpleasant to begin with. But if the language features aren't that good for supporting asynchronicity, the code that you write can be very complex. So I don't know if there's anything like actually I think there is. I think I'm being ignorant. Okay, I'll take anything back I said about C# being kind of crappy for asynchronous. Maybe I should say it's not clear to me how to write asynchronous code in C# in a way that isn't convoluted, particularly with some of the limitations of the Unity API. I will say a few bad things about the Unity API. So if I go to this load asset sync path completed, and I get to pass in a function that gets called back. Now when that function comes back, I have no way of passing like an extra parameter or private data off to the callback. If I did, this would be such simpler code. I could just write a little function that would hook up the audio clips to the structure that is meant to go along with. So because that isn't available to me, the standard sort of way to handle this is there's two ways. One is you have effectively global variables or static variables that you set. Now, if you don't like that, like I don't like that. I don't like to have all kinds of global variables all over the place getting set. You can have an enclosing class that has, I guess they're still sort of like global variables, except they are limited in scope to the class. So that when the callback is called, you've got access to these variables that were set with the class. So I did that. And it was fine. It's more complicated than I want it to be. But it works. Now I need to modify something about this so that when all the WAV files load for one sound effect, because in my case sound effects can have more than one WAV file associated with them, then the normalization occurs on that sound effect. So I'll be a little more specific, not just a sound effect, but a melodic clip set, which is something I've come up with. So a melodic clip set has more than one wave sample associated with it, but it performs interpolation to get different notes. So in this melodic clip set, I store audio clips. Those are the wave samples, and I store pitches for each of 12 notes in the chromatic scale. So the chromatic scale is like, if you look at a keyboard like this. Here, hold on a second. So if you look at a keyboard, and you're kind of familiar with a keyboard, I hope, you know, you might start here at C, and then if you keep going up and you hit all those black keys too, and then eventually you arrive at the same note but an octave higher. So, you know, C, C. If I want my code to be able to play a sound effect at any one of those notes, I could store a WAV file for each of those notes, but then I'd have to have a lot of WAV files. So instead what I do is a combination of storing WAV files for different notes, but for the notes that are missing, I store an interpolated pitch. So if I have a C note, you know, do, do, no, it's do, do, yeah, a C note, maybe that was C. I kid myself that I got perfect pitch. And then I have, you know, an F note. So it's like do, re, mi, so do, mi. If I want the re in between the two, that's the B note, I can take either of those samples for either C or E and I can interpolate to get D. Okay? So that's what the melodic clip set does. It works great. But it does need to have all that interpolation information stored in it after the clips are finished loading. It's interesting. Sometimes there's a value in saying things out loud on these streams, because I just said something which I thought was true, but I'm realizing it doesn't have to be true. So I'm going to come back to Sound Effect Manager and just make a quick note. I'll do a little pocket design here, but quick note. Number one, don't normalize at end of loading. Normalize at beginning. Okay, so the problem I have right now is that my asynchronous callback code is only based upon setting the individual audio clip for each note that's loaded. I don't have like an overall asynchronous callback that says after everything is loaded for a melodic clip set, go ahead and normalize it then. So I'm thinking about some different options for how to have that normalization or that interpolation stuff happen without some kind of janky way of explicitly calling that after the sounds are loaded. I want it to asynchronously be handled, or like in this option I just wrote down, just be normalized with before everything loads in, which I think might be possible. Okay, so how to normalize melodic clip set without an extra call. Okay, so if I did this, do yeah, I don't know. I just come back to that. Could be hard, could be easy. I don't know. Okay, number 2. Normalize all sound effects after all waves have loaded. So this is going to be the easiest one. This one I would just say I've got already this thing, an in progress count. When you start loading sound effects, particularly at the beginning of the game, it will spin up a in progress count. So it will start out and say, oh, let's load this web, async, load this web, load this web, load this web, and the in progress count will go up to maybe like 10 or something like that. And then as the async callbacks come in, and I'm setting the loaded wave sample files inside of the structures, each one that comes back saying a wave is finished loading, I decrement the in progress count. So I could say, as soon as it gets to 0, I'm going to just do a normalize on all the sound effects I know about. So that sort of sounds easy, but I suspect that it's not the right way. So plus easy to detect when all WAVs loaded, minus sound effect manager doesn't track all the sound effects. So is that true? I don't know if that is true. No, there is tracking of all the sound effects. Okay. Okay. So yeah, I got a list of sound effects. Somewhat inefficient. Because only newly loaded sound effects need normalization. Could add a normalized flag to sound effect. So this one actually is not a bad option. That's a big plus and a small minus. Okay, number 3. Normalize as needed when a wave plays. So you do a check each time you play a wave. You say, is it normalized? No, let's normalize it. So it's just a way to kind of come back later and load it. So plus, easy to develop, easy to code. Minus, unintuitive to split the loading into 2 parts. Easy to forget how it works, which adds maintenance time. Minus. Maybe hard to add other capabilities to it. Okay, number 4. What else? What else? Make a per sound effect async handler. Callback handler. Like on all clips loaded. What's good about it, this type of thing, is keeps loading in one place, doesn't operate on data that doesn't need it. Minus more complex callback handler, harder to maintain. So the thing about writing correct code, this number 4 is the solution that feels the most correct to me, but sometimes the correct solution is not the one that gives you the best benefits. Particularly maintainability. You always kind of, if you drink the Kool-Aid, you think that all the sort of proper formulaic decisions and patterns are the ones that would give you the most maintainable code. But maintainable it's not synonymous, it's not coupled 100%, it's not 100% correlated with correctness. Correctness and maintainability most of the time are well correlated. They're not always. So the most common example for me is when you have a function that is lengthy. It's got a lot of lines in it. Maybe 2 pages of lines. Like imagine like a function that just stretched 2 pages down. You have to scroll down to see all of it, you know. Conventional wisdom is that you break it up into multiple functions. But what if there's no intuitive concepts for breaking out some of that logic into a different function? What if all the operations, all the actions that happen inside of that function are just incestuous? They just need to know about each other. Like when you have things like iterating over a bunch of loops and doing things inside of inner loops and all that, it actually makes it harder for you to make changes to that function, to understand it later, to break it out into separate functions. If you don't have any good concepts that just like, if you can't read the name of a function and just kind of have a 90% good sense of what that function actually does, then arguably it's not a good refactor, and you should have just left that in line inside of the large function. So like if you've got a function named like process inner loop, either you should have named that function better, or maybe there's just no good concept that readily summarizes what that bit of code does. In that case, you might as well stick it in. So this is the same type of example here. It feels correct to me to write a callback handler that's specifically related to the melodic clip set and what needs to happen inside of it. But I just know, because I already have to scratch my head a little bit when I look at this loadable WAV thing with its callback, that it might be kind of tricky. And now as I say that, I'm like wondering, like maybe it's not that bad. Maybe all it is void on clip set loaded. What was the last thing? What would I call it? On all clips loaded. Let's see, but I need. Let's see. I need to be more specific. On all clip set WAVs loaded. Okay, so this could be, maybe we would add the sound effect here. This might not be that bad actually. For all that ranting, this might not be a bad solution at all. Okay, so I could add more data here, and this would change from loadable WAV to maybe loadable sound effect. Okay, yeah, let me just, I'm still evaluating it, but it does continue to feel a little more complicated. So let's change this to loadable WAV to loadable sound effect. Okay, so I'll say this is a small minus and not a large minus, because I think it'll get a little more complicated, a little bit harder to understand how it works, but it's not terrible. Number 3, I'm not feeling good about. Just this unintuitive part. Like whenever you write something that doesn't really have any defects to it, I mean, it doesn't have any downsides except it just doesn't make that much sense, then the cost is the time that you'll spend coming back later to figure out how it works, or the cost is the time you'll spend trying to add something to it to make it work better. So I'll say no on this one. I'll make a no section down here. Rejected. Okay, this one is interesting to me. So I'm thinking about what are the normalization tasks. Normalization tasks are copying audio clip instances to null slots, setting interpolation. So the second one, the second thing, setting the interpolation values, I can do that pretty easily at preloading. But the first task of copying the audio clip instances to null slots, that's harder because I don't have the instance until after it's loaded. So I would have to, if I'm not going to have any follow-up work on that data structure, I would have to create something like a shared reference so that what I would copy to those empty slots is an instance of a container which will later have the clip inside of it. So it'd be like I'd create a containing class and I would be adding in to these slots not the audio clip reference but the containing class reference, which will later on contain an audio clip. And that added complexity that sort of, it added as much complexity as it removed. So the major advantage of the solution would have been I don't need to use asynchronous handling to perform the normalization. So that's like, oh, I made it simpler. But I added complexity by needing to create these sort of future compatible references, not future compatible, but these sort of placeholders for where the clips are going to go. So I'm just going to say plus minus a wash on complexity. I'm going to put this one in the rejected pile. So it comes down to these two. This first one is going to be pretty friggin' easy to understand. From a CPU perspective, it's not going to be a big deal, I don't think, because I'll put a flag on the sound effect saying, are you normalized or not? Just a Boolean flag. And I'm only going to have maybe 50 sound effects load at one time tops. Like right now I probably got like 20 or 30. As it grows, it might get up there. 50, maybe with a lot of dialogue. If I use the same mechanism, it could go up to a few hundred. But iterating over a list of sound effects or classes and just checking on each class, is it normalized or not? Yes? No? That's super fast. That's just negligible as far as performance goes. And also, I don't end up doing that normalization check for every time that I make a load request. It's more like if I make a batch of load requests, all of the waves are going to come in after some amount of time, and the asynchronous handlers are going to decrement the in progress count till it gets down to 0, and then I would run the normalization on it. That's going to be efficient. I mean, it won't be anything noticeable, and it will only happen when I'm loading in waves at the start of a level or at the start of the game. I think that's the way to do it. I think that's it. I'm going to hold on to this number 4 option just in case I get a little bit further down the number 2 option and find out it's got problems with it. So let me see. Let's see what's added to do here. Update comments as needed. After finished. Async normalization. Okay. Yeah, I actually have something pretty similar right here. Let's just say normalize sound effects. Also, I'm thinking let's just make this I enumerable instead of there we go. Way I'll avoid a conversion between list and array. I don't really need it. Oh, wait a minute. I've got to go back to the work screen. Yeah. How annoying, man. I've just been like talking and showing stuff with my big stupid head. Okay. Let me just show you the two options I ended up considering real quick. I'm doing number 2 here. Normalize all the sound effects after all the waves have loaded. And number 4 is my backup in case this one doesn't work out. And there were 2 other ones I talked about, and I wish my screen would have been showing when I talked about them, but I rejected them. This is my pocket plan here. It's a little bit of commented code that expresses my thoughts and helps me evaluate different options. Then after a bit I end up deleting this because I don't need it anymore. Okay. I think I'll just, instead of having a Boolean check here, I'll just include that inside of this function. It'll just be a lot simpler. Also, can I get away with this? Nope, I cannot. Okay. Getting rid of these privates because they don't give any extra information. Is normalized. Let's see. So now I'm curious if I copy over, if I use this, will the copy be normalized? Or will I need to do something there? Let me check the copy method of melodic clip set. Yeah, it copies over full. So I'll just say 2 is normalized is equal to so it'll just retain the normalized state when it copies over. Just looking through it for other problems. Put a little spacer in my chat so I don't keep looking down and wondering if the last comment I saw is from somebody that's just started chatting me. Okay. thought this would work now. Or maybe it's just, let me see. How does that work? Assert is true. Okay. That there. That there. I don't want anything to try to play before it's fully loaded. So that would definitely be a problem. Oh, I've already got this here. Which one do I want to use? Dang it. I'll stick with what I already had, I guess. Okay, so now I just gotta fix this part over here with the sound effects. I don't think I need this anymore. Wait, this works? Oh, this is all sound effects. Okay. Okay, cool. Go back to the Apple. Don't need this anymore. Should not anyways. So this is an example of like a pretty lengthy file. It's not too lengthy, but 279 lines. That's getting up there. Somebody else might want to like break this out into extra files and separate concerns, and I'm just like, no, this is all about the Apple, and I'm going to be dealing with code that is specific to the Apple and nothing else. It's all in one file. It's good. It's good. It's not that hard to make sense of this. It's easier to make sense of this than to break this out into 3 or 4 files. So I could put like all this stuff into an Apple mode settings file, but I'm only going to look at that file when I'm working on the Apple code. So I put it all together. It's easier to maintain. So like rules that people give us to make more maintainable code, like I think you have to balance it with some common sense. I love how gray it is outside right now. Right? It just speaks to my soul. Cool, the light map kicked in. I always like it when it does that. Alright. I give this a 53% chance of working the first time. Let's save it. And it'll do exactly the same thing as it did before if it works. But the code underneath of it will be better. Yay! Yay! Okay, cool, all good. I think I can keep going though. I'm gonna keep going. I can do some more stuff in this session before I stop and take a break and come back. So I'm gonna pick my next goal, hopefully wisely. The things I could do. I could hook this up to the level controller so that instead of me doing stuff inside of the inspector to make it progress to different modes, it would actually be reacting to your position within the game and things you do in the game or on this level. That might be nice. I could fix the glow on this thing because it used to glow a crazy amount, and I think in general my scene is sort of missing like the really powerful glow I used to have. There is glow, but it's all very understated. It might have to do with the color mode I'm in. I might not have picked the same color mode. Could add a pickup particle effect around the apple so it doesn't just like disappear in a kind of boring way. Let me add the glow in. That'll be the thing I'll do next. Or let me fix the glow, because the glow is quite underwhelming right now, and it used to be awesome. I want to get that back to where it was. Where do I even get? How do I even get to that? Is it rendering? I mean, I can just make the glow brighter, but since it was correct before, it makes me think if there's a different setting related to lighting that I should be fixing. Just trying to find the place in Unity that had this setting. There's so many settings to tweak, and I just don't know what they all mean and where they all are. I want to say Unity color mode, color grading. Let me try mode first. Yeah, linear or gamma. Where's that at? Where is that at? Color space, linear or gamma. Let me just find. Where the hell is it? There's so many versions of Unity. It's hard to look at some docs and figure out where things are. But okay, where is this being set? Is this build settings? What is this? Project settings. Then select the player category. Okay, to other settings. This is 219.4. Okay, let me try it again. Player is an overloaded term. Okay, player. Other settings. Here it is. Okay, let me try linear. Let's see what happens. You're going to re-import all the assets. No problem. I understand. See if it looks any different. Okay, if it's doing it right at the higher levels, it will be crazy blobby. So I'll try it. I'll see what I can do. Let's see. One. I didn't see a noticeable difference, to be honest. So let me read up on linear versus gamma and figure out what the pros and cons are. Figure I should stick with one or the other, but linear is probably what I want. Yeah, this might be something to pay attention to, because I did have some issues with my shaders creating little sparkles, and not intended sparkles, and not good looking sparkles. They're just more like little blotches of white that would show up randomly. I'm pretty sure that's the shader either getting an input it doesn't know how to deal with, or it's just outputting some garbage because of bug reasons. But possibly it was this problem. I can't remember. Did I just switch to linear or gamma? Let me just double check. So I just switched to linear, which might be good for that shader problem. Let me keep reading. I don't know. Let me just make the bloom go up more. That's probably all I need. It feels like everywhere the bloom is just a little bit underwhelming. So if we go, so it was at 10. What if I do 50? No? Can I even see bloom in scene view? Not sure about that. Okay, there's some stuff there that should be affected. Let's put this back to 10. Set this up 3. I'm not seeing anything. I'm just not really seeing bloom here at all. Or maybe you go the opposite direction. Yeah, I don't get it. So I should be just able to make monster bloom effects here that just look even terrible, but it's like affecting nothing at all. Doesn't seem right. Do I have something turned off? Okay, what was this originally? That's where it was, okay. Off. On. That's weird. So these are being applied, but I see nothing for bloom. I mean, maybe there's like a tiny bit. You know, I don't think I've ever had bloom. I think I've been mistaking the depth of field blurriness for a bloom effect. So when I play with those, I just don't get any difference in how it's shown. Unity, bloom, not working. There's a script to put on the camera. Well, maybe not. I wish people would be more specific. All you have to do is put the bloom script on the camera. What exact thing are you talking about? Because I have post-processing effect there already. Maybe it's HDR. HDR should probably be turned on. Your bloom effect must be applied to HDR range. Okay. Do I have an HDR range? No, I've got a low definition range. I do have my color grading coming after the bloom. Okay, let's take a look at the graphics settings, see if I've got something there. Again, it's like really hard to know where to look for things. So many settings, they're not all in the same place. I don't know why some would be in the player settings and others are in the general lighting settings. There might be good reasons for that. I shouldn't rant. Color space linear. Boom. Boom. Okay. Okay. Graphics. So, let's take a look. Let me try this again. Nothing. So I don't know what is missing for Bloom to work. These are in the same order I had them originally. Their settings are the same. Pretty sure. I'm going to go back to the internet. Okay, let me just see this. Unity. How to enable HDR. Okay, you enable it per camera in the inspector. So let me take a look at this camera. Stop it. Stop it. See, it just says use graphic settings. But like, it's not, if I go look around in the different places, there's not a graphic settings. There's other things. Okay. Graphic settings window. Okay. Enable HDR rendering, configure the format of the HDR buffer, each tier of the graphic settings window. Okay, that I've seen. Let's see. HDR. Use HDR. Okay. Yes, use HDR. Use HDR, yes. Use HDR, yes. Okay, so it's turned on already. So that's not it. That's not the problem. Maybe the HDR mode messes it up, but I don't have evidence of that. I don't really feel like tweaking that unless I have some good reason to think. Yeah. Okay. Double check that the order of these is not causing an issue. I'll just put bloom. Huh, there's no way to order it? Oh, that's weird. Well, I don't have any reason to think the order is wrong because I'm just matching what I did on the other project where it worked. I can turn off depth of field and then bloom becomes the first. That's actually maybe kind of useful just to make sure I'm not seeing depth of field effects. Okay. Yeah, this one. Not applicable. Yeah, let's just watch this.
If you've got it in your standard assets, you can right click in the project panel, import package, and bring. Hey guys, welcome to another Unity 5 tutorial today, and this is
the same tutorial I watched the first time to get it working. So I don't know if it'll tell me something that I already did that I forgot to do on this new project, but let's be hopeful.
Be looking at bloom and lens flares. So bloom and lens flare lets you make brighter areas or brighter pixels on your screen much brighter, and it's an image effect which allows you to do that quite easily, really. And there's 3 different actual image effects that we could possibly use, and each are slightly different, some more optimized than others. Now, all you need to do for this scene is you need to bring in a first-person controller. You can bring that in if you've got it in your standard assets. You can right-click in the project panel, import package, and bring in characters. If not, you can get it from the Unity Asset Store. So once you've brought in the character and put it in your scene, as you've got here, I've got mine here, you want to click on your first-person character, which will be classed as your main camera, and you can see the preview here. Now we want to then go to Component, Image Effects, Bloom and Glow, and we've got one of 3 choices. So
His vice is out of date. Which is not his fault. It seems like there's a good chance I need to add one more script, but I don't want to add it just yet. Let me see what he's doing again. So he's did image effects, which it doesn't work that well anymore. Okay.
So what we'll do is we'll add each of the 3 choices to our camera, and I'll skip on. Okay, so we're in my just the game view tab here, so we can actually see what's going on just out of the box without having to play the scene. So if I untick all of them,
let me just see. Can I? Okay, here's Bloom right here. It's on the camera, but it's on as a post process layer. Let me just see if there's actually a Bloom. No, there's not. Okay, so the advice that he's given has become dated. And I'm less optimistic about learning things from this video.
And we've got each of the 3. So we'll first go through the sort of bloom, and it just briefly is a bloom and lens flare to sort of brighten up the screen pixels or everything that's there on the screen. So if we enable bloom, you can already see the sort of edges of things start to get a little bit brighter. We can set the quality, so the cheaper it is, the better. For performance, the higher, the better quality it will all be. You can have different modes. You can have basic and complex, and they just add some more features if you need them. We'll keep it on basic. You can the modes which are blend or screen, and like if you'd seen my other tutorial the other day, is that screen keeps it based on sort of the consistent colours that you've got, and add will add an extra sort of layer to it. And we've got HDR, which stands for high dynamic range rendering, and this can be used to try and sort of simulate a more real world value based on something that you can do.
This is just not going to help me. Like, he's using too many components and menu options that aren't even present. So let me try this. Uni 2019, Bloom, not working. Built in. Well, I suppose I could just read the manual. Okay, was wanting to know how to do that. Oh, for custom effects, so that's different. Okay. This is one thing I did have before that I stopped using, which is the post-process volume. That's kind of what I want, though. Yeah. I don't think this is the okay. I've got it set to global. Is global. It's interesting that a lot of these guys down here are, oh, I can turn them on. All right. I didn't have them on before. I mean, these are all just kind of defaults. Let me just see if I can make some kind of change. I don't see it. I don't see anything I do here being applied. So it makes me think that there's something about the settings or what's input to it that's wrong. It's weird to have this. There's a checkbox, and there's another checkbox to the right. Okay, I can check this checkbox if I have this one checked. And what's this one for? Like, do I really mean it checkbox? What? That makes no sense at all. That makes no sense. Okay. Yeah, I just don't think anything in these settings is affecting. What's this? No. No, it's just these are the overrides. Okay. But no, let me try none. What happens then? No. Okay. Turn that off. 0.5. 0. 5. 100. No. Let me see what version of Mac I've got. Ten point 14.6. I suppose that's possible. That's the reason. Okay. This is old. Okay. It is time to ask a question on Stack Overflow. Also, I'll check on my old stuff. Okay, let's add a new question. Well, let's check. Unity, Bloom, not working. Let me double check that. The question is, are my materials, are they doing what I expect them to do? I've got a mission here. And just to give people something to look at. I hide these two things because I think they're distracting. I certainly have nothing to do with the problem. Pretty certain. Okay, now what's the key on the Mac to take a screenshot? Key to screenshot on Mac. Yeah. Shift Command and 3. Alright, let's try that. Shift Command 3. And can I just copy that, please? Wait, what is this? Jesus. I just want to copy the whole thing. I hate the new screenshot app they made. I want it to be someplace besides here. How about just put it in the clipboard? Gotta hate this new app. Preview. Let's bring it up in preview, because then I can select it all and copy it, and I can take it. Actually, here, can I do? Okay, copy that. Back over to Photoshop. See if I can just paste this into the web page. Okay, so that, I'm going to let this problem percolate. I also thought of one other thing to try. If it works, I'll be upset. But I'm going to try it. Let's add a post-processing zone. Down to 0. cut. Take off the is global. Wait a minute. I think this changed a little bit from what I remembered. So there's no glow on that. And I'll just set this to the worst one. Just double checking if there's any difference between play mode versus editor mode. I don't see any. The post-processing zone didn't really do anything. I think the way that works is it's like a trigger, and if the camera is inside of that area, it would apply the post-processing effect that's associated, or the post-processing profile, I guess, that's associated with it. But I don't see that having any effect, and I think the global option is going to make more sense. Global means it's just going to apply the same thing no matter where the camera is. I'm pretty sure that's the correct understanding. So yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. For the sake of efficiency, I'm going to let this question sit here and see if someone has got a clue. And if nobody does, then got other options. I think what I would try to do is start a brand new project with no other purpose than to get Bloom to work. And just follow some tutorial someplace, set up one thing at a time. See, does it work? Does it work? Is it working? Yes? Okay, then I'd compare and contrast with what I have in my not working project. That's the approach I think I would take. But that's very time consuming, and there's a possibility that someone will be able to answer this question. And then that also has the benefit, if that question is answered there, that it will contribute to like the sort of global knowledge that's out there that everybody gets. Which I don't know, I like that kind of stuff. That's one of the reasons why it takes so long writing these questions, because I actually think that they should be written in such a way that they'll be useful to other people besides myself. In the Stack Overflow methodology, I've got some respect for. So yeah. Anyways, let's move on to some other problem. Just let this one sit for a bit. It's not destroying anything for me to have that wait for a little bit. Okay. So what else do I want to do? What's this about? For the moment, let's turn these guys back on. I might have fixed the shader problem. I'm gonna check on that. If I didn't, then I don't know what to do next if I didn't on that one. But I might have instantly fixed it. So I'm gonna go see if there was some usefulness to that change to the linear color mode. Nah, still saw that little flash. It does seem to not be as prevalent though, which is worth something. Now, I had confused what I'm seeing beneath me as glow. You see like blurriness around the edges of those rings. I had thought that was glow. But if I get closer to it, it disappears. And that means it's not actually glow, it's just depth of field. It's just depth of field. So glow's not working. This new color mode makes everything look different. It did fix a few things that were bugging me, which is M's trail is now showing red. Now M's trail lost the glow effect, but as soon as I should say M's trail has not had the glow effect since the new project. So I've just kind of proven to myself that glow is not working on anything. But the other problem was that it was showing up as white instead of red, and now I see it coming in red. So I'm closer to getting it back to the best looking trail that I had earlier. So that much is good. Everything seems a little darker now as I walk around. I think I had done some lighting adjustments earlier that were based on the gamma color mode, gamma color mode, I guess. Now it seems a little dim. It feels like I'm walking around in the early morning or something like that. So I may end up adjusting the lighting a little bit. You hear everything playing in exactly the same key. That's what all that melodic sound effect stuff was about in that melodic clip set. Boy, I'm liking the lighting better. I like this linear mode. I know some people switch to gamma and they say that that's their jam, but linear seems to be good for me. I know what that problem is. So the problem is the bonus effect looks weird. So if you heard like one note that was played off key, I think that's because in my audio point pool I have like a bunch of audio sources that are in like a pool and they get reused. I think I'm setting the pitch on one that's been reused and it's affecting the pitch of an already playing sound effect. Let me just add that to the things that are bothering me list. So I'll come back to it later. File. Come on. Irritating. Okay. Sometimes audio pool cuts out a sound when a new one plays. This one I think I just fix by increasing the number of points in the pool. Sometimes my sound plays at wrong note. Has something to do with reusing an audio point and setting pitch. Pitch seems to be applied to already playing sound. No key change involved. Okay. I suspect I could fix the first problem and maybe fix the second problem too. And I think I can fix the first one in an easy way. Let me make sure I can get a good repo. Because I want to be confident about reproducing so that when I fix the bug, I'll be able to say, yeah, I'm pretty sure I fixed it, because normally I'd be able to repro real simple. So a way to check my theory, instead of just waiting for me to detect that one of the sounds is cut off, I can add a debug log that says when I'm reusing something. Get audio source. I think this would probably be a more graceful way to handle it. I think that ends up happening anyways, but to explicitly stop it is probably a good practice. Yeah, interesting. So when I actually do the play, I'll get the audio source. I'll set the pitch, and I suppose there's maybe a tiny amount of time here where the old audio source could be playing and its pitch would have changed. I'm going to play one shot. I don't know if the behavior is that it's going to stop the existing thing playing that was already playing. I don't know. I'm uncertain about that. I feel pretty clear that by adding this line here, that it will definitely stop it. I mean, I'll have to try it. But I feel at least that removes any ambiguity about, you know, whether or not the old clip is going to keep playing when I do another play one shot on top of the audio source. I think I will educate myself a little bit though. So we'll say Unity play one shot. So I saw something a little more promising here. Yeah. This thing. Yeah. You can play multiple sounds from one audio source using play one shot. Yeah. Okay. So I think the way that I set this up is probably correct. With the stop here, it's probably good practice. Do all these use play one shot? Play one shot. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let us try it. Turn this off, that maximize so I can see what's going on in the console. Yeah, I want to get rid of these things that are logging. Let's fix that. Yeah, let's get rid of that. Here we go, yo. Boom. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Pretty straightforward solution. Enlarge the audio point pool. Let me think about how to do that correctly. Okay. Okay, my pool count is 40. I'm just going to try stubble. Okay. I'm going to send this up to the prefab. Clear the shit. Try again. That's it. Problem solved. Fixed it. Good to fix things. Good to have them working right. Boom. And we go to this. And I get to delete two things that were bothering me. boom. That's quite a bit of work. I think I'm going to take a break here for lunch and to build a desk, which is something I promised my wife I would do. Multiple times I promised. What else did I promise that I'm forgetting? I want to be a promise keeper. Add the assets. Commit. Hey. Oh, a lot of stuff here. Resurrect. And Apple sound effects. Change color mode to linear. Make on-demand sound effect loading automatically. Normalize. Enlarge audio point pool. 2x. Make reused audio points explicitly stop a current playing audio source to avoid pitch shifting and other uncertainties. Okay. A lot of stuff in that commit. A lot of good stuff. A lot of things that make me happy. This is a good time to stop a session. There's probably going to be another session today. But like I said, lunch and building a desk. That's what's next for me. Then I'll probably come back a bit later. Stopping the stream. Stopping the stream. Stopping the stream now.